This will be the first video in a series of introductory videos to quarterly theory to make sure everyone in the mentorship is up to speed in terms of what to look for when using quarterly theory, right? And everything I say should be taken with a grain of salt. I'm, of course, not the creator or author of quarterly theory. This is just my interpretation. So, quarterly theory is just a way to dissect when price will move, and we understand that there are two axes to a chart. We have the x-axis, which represents time, and a y-axis, which represents price. Hopefully, you can see that. The x-axis will dictate when the y-axis will move to specific points. Or in other words, y is a function of x. Or in other words, x is the cause of y. For example, if we want to find price move to 3, x must be 1, for example. So if price is trading here, for price to become, or price to move to 3, x must be 1. So we must wait for the right time for price to move. Hopefully that makes sense. Quarterly theory is simply a cog in a greater system that dictates how price moves. It's also known as the algorithm. This means that quarterly theory is not the holy grail. So before you put this on a pedestal, quarterly theory or understanding quarterly theory will not be what makes you profitable. Your profitability will come through an edge, or your statistical edge, which is simply split into two parts: your win rate and average RR combined, or this comes through a system. And you must apply this system with the correct risk management, which I will go into deeper at a later date. So this is not the secret to the dream life that you're manifesting. This is only one part. So this video I will simply be talking about the cycles that we will use, and how quarters affect the x-axis, or how we interpret the x-axis using quarters. So there are 4 main cycles that we will be paying attention to as intraday traders. And this is the monthly cycle, weekly cycle, daily cycle, and the 90-minute cycle. So hopefully we all know that the monthly cycle is made up of 4 weeks. Weekly cycle is made up of 4 days plus Friday. The daily cycle is made up of 4 sessions. And the 90-minute cycle is made up of 4 90-minute quarters. Hopefully that makes sense. And we have specific time frames that we'll be using when looking at each cycle. So the monthly cycle, we'll be using the 4-hour chart. The weekly cycle, we'll be using the 1-hour chart. The daily cycle, the 15-minute chart, and the 5-minute chart for the 90-minute cycle. Okay? We must understand that all of these cycles and how they function are fractal. So the monthly cycle will function in the same manner that the 90-minute cycle will function. And of course, there are other cycles as well, but these are the only ones we will be paying attention to. And in the next video, I will be going over sequential SMT and how to blend price in with the time aspect, so the quarters, and how we can use divergences to anticipate reversals. But I will go on to that in the next video of this series. The simple manner in which Day has put the function of these cycles is AMDX and XAMD. We will not be using these. These have no relevance to our trading. It may be a way for beginners to interpret the market, but as you may see on the chart, this is not evident in every single cycle. So we will not be using these. What we will be using is understanding that expansion comes from consolidation and vice versa. Right? So expansion will also lead to consolidation, and we will use these in the first and second quarter. Right? So if Monday expands, we'll be anticipating a Tuesday consolidation. And once again, vice versa. So a Monday consolidation will give us a Tuesday expansion. And whether Monday will expand or consolidate is something we will go into the next video. But in general, these are the things you'll be paying attention to. Okay? The final thing I want to cover in this video is true opens. So a true open is, simply put, the opening price of Q2. So this could be the opening price of April, could be the opening price of Tuesday, or even the London session. I hope that you will understand these concepts, so I don't have to explain it too thoroughly. But to put it simply, we will only be focusing on the true week open as intraday traders. Many people will be focusing on the true day open and the true session open, but you will find that price doesn't necessarily trade in the way that the true day open and true session open says that price should trade. So what I mean by this is that price will not necessarily go lower when above the true day open or true session open. Instead, we'll be focusing on the true week open, which is the opening price of Tuesday, which in other words is 6 p.m. EST on Monday, not Tuesday. And we'll be using this as Day likes to call it, that barometer to gauge whether price is in premium or discount. And in a future video in this series, I will explain how we can use this true week open in ways that are not just buy below and sell above. We'll be talking about cracks and correlations using this true open. And it was always the opening price of the second quarter. I sometimes see people say it is the opening price of the third quarter, and I always see questions around this, but it is always the opening price of the second quarter. So this is just a simple video on quarterly theory as an introduction, and these are the essential foundations that we'll be using to frame our analysis of the markets. Okay? But the main takeaway that I want you to have after finishing this video is that quarterly theory is not the end all be all of trading. This will not make you millions and millions of dollars or pounds or whatever. It's quarterly theory, or essentially your system with risk management, that will bring you consistent profitability. Okay? Do not romanticize this whole idea of quarterly theory as the holy grail. So with that said, I will see you all in the next video where I will talk about a divergence in price using these quarters.